From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aishah Ashraf. Our top story for today: Israel is pushing ahead with plans for what it has falsely called the voluntary expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza, seizing on President Donald Trump's controversial remarks about the U.S. taking over the war-ravaged territory. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has ordered the military to draft a strategy allowing Palestinians living in Gaza to leave by land, air, or sea to any country willing to accept them. Meanwhile, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is worsening. Rescue teams recovered 28 more bodies, and medics warn many victims remain trapped in the ruins. The ceasefire that took effect on January 19th has not stopped the suffering, with 562 bodies pulled from the debris since then. Adding to the humanitarian catastrophe, torrential rains and sewage floods have swamped shelters for displaced families. Gaza authorities describe a looming disaster, with 88% of infrastructure destroyed, including sewage systems, hospitals, and public services. With electricity and fuel shortages crippling relief efforts, UNICEF warns that at least 600 aid trucks must enter Gaza daily to meet the bare minimum of humanitarian needs. Israel has killed 47,583 people and injured 111,633 others, according to the Enclave's health ministry. The Palestinian government media office has updated the death toll to at least 61,709 people, saying thousands of missing people are now presumed dead. In related news, President Donald Trump has claimed that Israel will turn over Gaza to the United States once the war ends. Earlier this week, Trump said the U.S. should own Gaza long-term after Palestinians were resettled elsewhere. However, he did not explain under what legal authority the U.S. could do this. In a post on Truth Social, Trump suggested relocating Palestinians. Also known as forcible transfer, this is a crime in international law. The former real estate developer also proposed that the U.S. would transform Gaza into what he called one of the greatest and most spectacular developments of its kind on Earth without the need for U.S. troops. His remarks continue to spark strong reactions and controversy. Former Saudi intelligence chief Prince Turki Al-Faisal has strongly condemned President Donald Trump's proposal to forcibly remove Palestinians from Gaza. In an open letter published in the newspaper The National, Al-Faisal rebuked Trump's call, saying the Palestinian people are not illegal immigrants to be deported. He emphasized that Gaza's land belongs to its people, who will rebuild their homes as they have done after past Israeli attacks. The letter follows Trump's controversial remarks earlier this week, proposing to relocate Gaza's residents to Egypt or Jordan and turn the war-torn region into what he called the Riviera of the Middle East. Al-Faisal noted that most Palestinians in Gaza are refugees driven out during Israel's war in the region in 1948 and 1967. He said if they must leave, they should return to their homes in Haifa, Jaffa, and other Israeli-occupied areas. Slamming illegal Israeli settlers, he accused them of seizing Palestinian lands and homes while engaging in ethnic cleansing. Al-Faisal also criticized the U.S. and UK for supporting these evictions. He urged Trump to honor Palestinian self-determination as well as establish a state with East Jerusalem as its capital. Al-Faisal noted that this is in line with UN resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative. Authorities are investigating after a private plane contracted by the U.S. military crashed in a rice field in the southern Philippines, killing at least 4 people. The twin-engine Beach King Air 300 went down in Malatimon Village, Mindanao Island, on Thursday afternoon. The crash occurred in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, a Muslim-majority area. Witnesses say the aircraft was flying low before nosediving into the field. The victims, described as 4 white men, are yet to be identified. Videos of the wreckage are circulating online. Officials have not confirmed the flight's purpose or origin, but the U.S. Embassy in Manila acknowledged it was operating under a military contract. The U.S. military has access to bases in the Philippines under a long-standing alliance. India is in talks with the U.S. after reports emerged of its deported citizens being mistreated. A U.S. military aircraft carrying 104 deported Indians landed in the province of Punjab on Wednesday. The deportees said they were handcuffed and shackled throughout the journey. U.S. Customs and Border Protection also shared a video of shackled migrants, saying it was part of enforcing immigration laws. India has the highest number of undocumented immigrants in the U.S., with 725,000 people. Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar told Parliament that the government is engaging with U.S. authorities to prevent such mistreatment. Opposition parties slammed the incident, calling it unacceptable. The controversy comes ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the U.S. next week for talks with President Donald Trump. The issue is expected to be raised during the discussions. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced that he will not attend the upcoming G20 meeting in South Africa. His decision follows a growing dispute over the country's land expropriation law. Its aim is to address the nation's apartheid legacy of racially unequal land distribution. The law, which has not yet been enforced, allows the government to seize land without compensation under certain conditions. Observers say the U.S. government's anger stems from fear that land will be taken away from white landlords and distributed among landless Black and other disadvantaged people. The controversy intensified earlier this week after President Donald Trump said he will cut all funding to South Africa and that he has launched an investigation into the country's policies. Rubio echoed these concerns, calling the law anti-American and accusing South Africa of using the G20 to push an ideological agenda. Critics argue Rubio's move weakens U.S. influence while benefiting China. Harvard faces heat over alleged bias against Palestinians Muslims. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. Nearly 200 Harvard University students, faculty, and staff have filed discrimination complaints alleging a hostile environment against Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims. The controversy erupted after Harvard Medical School canceled a panel featuring patients from Gaza that was scheduled for January 21st. Among the complainants are 32 faculty, 36 students, and 30 staff members. They are demanding a formal apology, an investigation into anti-Palestinian bias, and mandatory training. A group of Harvard affiliates is leading the charge. Sara Azubi, a Harvard Medical School graduate and a medical staff member, said there were clear patterns of discrimination, unfair treatment based on national origin and religion. She said discrimination is creating a toxic atmosphere at the university. Meanwhile, a Harvard spokesperson insists the institution is committed to fighting discrimination. 2 Harvard employees have already resigned, accusing the university of suppressing pro-Palestine speech. This comes after Harvard quietly settled the federal investigation into similar allegations. A new report from the Massachusetts chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations reveals that nearly half of Muslim students in the state's K-12 schools face faith-based bullying. The survey, conducted across 11 counties, found that 48% of Muslim students reported bullying due to their religion. Among them, 22% faced regular harassment, while 35% of hijab-wearing students were physically harassed or had their headscarves pulled. Additionally, 37% of students witnessed their Muslim peers being bullied. The report also found that 10% of students felt unsafe revealing their faith, and 23% considered changing their behavior to avoid discrimination. The findings show that 52% of students experienced bullying based on both ethnicity and religion. CAIR is calling for urgent action to address this growing crisis in schools. Billionaire Elon Musk has triggered a political crisis by taking control of parts of the U.S. government's financial system. His Department of Government Efficiency has forced access to federal payments and personnel records. Musk has also claimed to have abolished U.S. aid, the country's foreign aid agency, without congressional approval. Critics say he now has the power to cut public spending while securing contracts for his own companies. Republican senators are divided over the issue. Some, like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, question Musk's legal authority. Others warn he may have gone too far. Senator Tom Tillis said closing U.S. aid would violate the Constitution, urging Trump and Musk to seek congressional approval. Musk, however, remains defiant. He has called U.S. aid evil and bragged about dismantling it. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has taken over as the agency's acting director. Democrats have responded with outrage. Senate leader Chuck Schumer accused Musk of creating a constitutional crisis and vowed to introduce legislation to block his interference. With rising tensions, Republicans fear Musk's actions could challenge Congress's power over government spending. The Sudanese army says it has made key advances in the capital Khartoum against the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. A military spokesman confirmed that army forces have taken control of Al-Ramila and its industrial zone in western Khartoum. Footage on social media shows troops moving through the area. The army is now close to the city center, holding positions at Al-Mogran and near its general command headquarters. It has already secured most of Bahri and Omdurman, the other two cities in Sudan's capital region. The war between the army and the RSF has raged since April 2023, killing more than 20,000 Sudanese, with some estimates putting the toll at 130,000. About 14 million people have been displaced. The UN warns of famine as the conflict spreads across 13 states. International pressure for a ceasefire is growing. The U.S. is drafting plans to withdraw all troops from Syria within a maximum of 90 days. Two defense officials confirmed the move following interest from President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Trump's new national security advisor, Mike Waltz, visited U.S. Central Command in Florida. He met military leaders for briefings about the Middle East. The White House said Syria troop reduction was not discussed. Trump recently hinted at a possible withdrawal. "We're not involved in Syria. They have their own mess," he said. Reports suggest White House officials informed Israel about the plan. Currently, approximately 2,000 U.S. troops are stationed in Syria. If approved, this pullout could significantly reshape U.S. involvement in the region. The Taliban-led administration in Afghanistan has dismissed a U.S. report claiming ISIS militants are active in the country. Taliban Deputy Spokesperson Hamdullah Fitrat rejected the findings of the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, saying ISIS has been suppressed. He accused the U.S. of promoting the group. SIGAR reported concerns over ISIS, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP, and Al-Qaeda's presence in Afghanistan. Pakistan also alleged that TTP operates from Afghan soil, but the Taliban denies this. Last month, Fitrat claimed Pakistan harbors ISIS militants, citing evidence. His comments followed Pakistan's Defense Minister Khawaja Asif's claims that militant groups operate from Pakistan. Pakistan's Foreign Ministry dismissed Fitrat's remarks as propaganda. Turkey today commemorated the second anniversary of the catastrophic February 6, 2023 earthquakes, which killed more than 55,000 people and left millions homeless. Survivors gathered in the southeastern city of Antakya at 4:17 a.m. local time when the quake struck, chanting, "No forgetting, no forgiving." The government has allocated $75 billion for rebuilding, with an additional $19 billion for ongoing recovery. Schools, hospitals, and roads are being restored, but many survivors still lack stable jobs and proper health care. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had promised 650,000 new homes, with 319,000 to be delivered within a year. However, opposition leaders say only 201,688 units have been completed so far. Hatay, one of the worst hit provinces, has seen just 18% of promised housing delivered. International organizations, including the Red Cross, warned that nearly 500,000 people continue to struggle in temporary shelters with poor sanitation and economic hardships. Erdogan and senior officials issued messages of remembrance, reaffirming their commitment to rebuilding. "We have not forgotten, we will not forget," said First Lady Amin Erdogan. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.